everyone, welcome to Brandon Woodworkers Club. Ready to build something awesome together?
All right.
Good job. It's all downhill from there.
Good. Hey, everybody. Derek Williams, Tim Robinson, American Fabric Filter. He hit all the high, points of our company, but we are a custom filter manufacturer, just up in Wesley Chapel, so not too far away. Been there since early 2000s.
Yeah.
I think 2001, give or take. We do everything in-house, from sales to cut sew operation, and ship everything right out of there. We can turn any system into something better. So, the wall mount, floor mount, cyclone, bag house, you name it, we can make it work better. So.
Yeah, we've got experience with pretty much everything out there, and we'll show you as we go through some of the pictures. But we've been doing it for over 20 years now, and woodworking was really the second industry that we got our big start in. So we've been doing this for a long time. Back in the early 2000s, fresh out of college, me and Derek went around and did all the regional woodworking shows everywhere, so we've been all over doing this, and it's been a lot of fun to do with this.
And so you all understand how they came to join us tonight. Jeff Fooch, who you all know, has his shop down at Sebring. He's been using their products for quite some time.
Yeah.
He endorses them, says he's not getting anything out of this. He loves their products and said this is something we should learn about. So
Appreciate that.
a good referral right there.
Yeah,
Jeff.
good deal. Yeah, thanks for having us out. And we have quite the slideshow, basically from fabric to types of systems we work with, and then an overview of what we do, and we can go from there. But the first picture we have, that's our polyester felt. It's a needle punch, non-woven material, scrim supported, and although we stock well over 200 different materials for the typical woodworker application, one of the felts would be most likely what we'd use for any of your systems, from a small floor mount,
All the way up to like a large bag house.
yeah, large bag house. So the three main options for the fabric would be our 10-ounce material, which is a 5 micron rated. It does about 65 CFM per square foot, and it's good for like table saws. Anything more than that, you want to step up to something heavier. Our 12-ounce, it's good for like edge banders, planers,
finer applications, and also like if you've got a shaker system, still
like a shaker bag house. Yeah, that's
cleaning off.
common material we would use. And then our 16-ounce felt, it's a 1 micron rated material. It does about 20-30 CFM per square foot, and if you have any type of sander, drum sander, belt sander, any super fine dust, or if you just want to overkill any of your other collectors just to make sure you're getting the ultra fines, that's the material you'd want to use. So we do have some specialty fabrics. The next one, those are some anti-stat materials we do. So if you have like a high static application, or cutting styrofoam or something like that, or you're worried about a static discharge, it actually has a stainless steel scrim right in the middle of the fabric to help dissipate, and in conjunction with the ground wire in the seam, it just helps, keep the static out of the bag.
Keep the dust from actually sticking to the surface. We don't see as much of it in the woodworking side, but there still is some.
Yeah, because if it's super staticky, it's not going to release off. Another thing about our felt is, you're good, the next one, is we singe the inside surface. So what that does is it promotes a surface load called a dust cake. So the dust actually builds up on the surface instead of getting impregnated in the fibers. So what that picture is kind of hard to make out, but underneath it's the bag. Then you got a layer of dust and then another layer of dust. It gets heavy. You walk by, you whap it, it peels off, falls in, if you have like a one up, one down, it'll fall off or hit the shaker. It's like a self-cleaning mechanism for the fabric. So, then we have some like flame retardant materials. So, again, apologize for the small picture, but fabric on the left still on fire, fabric on the right, even with the torch on it, it's self-extinguishing. So if you've ever had a fire, or you're want to make sure your bag isn't going to ever catch on fire on you, we do have that available in all the different ounce weights. So
All right. Get you the next one. Now we'll just go over a couple of different types of units. This is a drum top unit. Sits on top of a drum, little bag on the side. Go to the next one. That's the ubiquitous one up, one down, single stage type collector, which I'm sure a lot of you may have or you've definitely seen before. Now sometimes you'll see them with the cartridges on top, and that is something we dabble in the cartridges. We do a lot more cartridge stuff with other industries. There is one of the Delta designs where they're trying to improve upon the old one up, one down with getting more surface area into the bag, which is kind of what we do, and that was one of their later iterations before they kind of changed hands and changed what they did. And there's another style that they did as well, which felt like they kept trying to get the bags more complicated and make it harder for us to reproduce, but we got to figure it out.
And the main thing they're trying for is they were trying to increase the surface area.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing of what they were trying to do, is a lot like what we do, but just getting you more square foot in a smaller space. So Delta was actually trying for a bit there, but yeah, some of the designs, like you said, were just to overcomplicate a process, and didn't work out too well.
Yeah. And I'm sure everybody's seen this one too. This is one of the cartridge styles with the little flapper cleaner. Like
exactly what I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I see one in here.
Yeah. They work well for certain applications, but we'll get into that shortly about when they have some issues and what we can do about it. And then there's another cartridge style with a cyclone on the side, and it's a Penner, I believe, and we see a lot of those, and again, certain applications they work out really well, but we'll again show you some of what we can do if you're having issues. And this is the bigger ones, which this is definitely outside of the smaller shop because it's a much different animal, a bag house, and it's got a bunch of little filters in there, and it's got cleaning systems and the whole shebang, and that's something that we see more in industry and at some larger wood shops.
Either shaker, reverse air, pulse, like Agate's big name maybe, but I'm trying to think of who goes to the IWF shows, so the woodworking fairs would be like Agate, Murphy Rogers, Coral. A lot of them have a bag house, so that's mainly for one big system outside your building, doing all your tools instead of the smaller roll-around units.
Yeah. And then this is the same thing as the enclosed bag house, but a little bit bigger, and usually under 5,000 CFM to kind of keep from the explosion prevention requirements. And you'll see a million of those if you go to the IWF, the woodworking trade show in Atlanta. They've got them everywhere.
Yeah, Comey is big these days.
Yeah.
The Danthrums of the world, they do a lot of systems like that.
All right. And now we'll kind of show you guys what we do to a system to improve upon them.
Oh, you got that right.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's right. The small sanding table. We make replacement bags for that. That one, actually, I worked with the guy when he developed that system, and to put the tubes in there under, and the table folds down and it sucks the sanding dust down. And so we can make replacements for those as well.
And generally, downdraft tables have always been historically cartridges.
Yeah.
But, with that, we could actually do the 16 singe like we talked about, or even step up to a membrane coated, and just the dust slides right off of them, and way easier to clean than the cartridges. And on the downdraft table, all you're doing is sanding for the most part, so it plugs those cartridges up right quick.
So this is an oversized bag, and I'm sure you can tell the difference from the earlier picture. It's
That's what
much
we're known
larger.
for.
Yeah. This is what we've done for forever, is basically help with smaller shops and smaller collectors and really give them the surface area they need to breathe. Typical systems like the large one that we were looking at, they go for a 15-to-1 air to cloth ratio. Well, the small units aren't anywhere close to that. And
50 to 1.
Yeah, 15 to 1, yeah. The ventilation handbook, the kind of our guide in all this, that's what it says is the minimum for efficient dust collection. And so we try to get as close to that as we can with larger bags on units.
So, yeah, we're just increasing the square feet, and we know the math. So if you pick a 16-ounce singe, 1 micron is what you're going for, that system's rated at 1,200 CFM. We design you a bag typically to handle at least 2,400 CFM. And we know the square foot needed. We don't care, how we get it, tall, skinny, short, fat, tall, fat, connect bags together. just, that's our goal, is to get as close to that ratio as possible to make that system work like it should. And, fun fact with a system like that, when they give you the CFM rating, it's generally with no bags on there, and the gauge right at the little Y pipe out the front, and say, yep, that's 1200 CFM. As soon as they put their stock bags on there and you hook it to a machine, you'll be lucky if you're seeing 600 CFM. So with our bag, it will almost look like it's not even inflated. Whereas the OEMs, when you turn it on, probably it looks like a hot air balloon. The air can't get out. You're losing suction on the front end, and with our bags, you can't even tell it's on there. It's kind of like an intake and exhaust on a car. The better it can breathe, the better suction you're going to get. So while containing the fine dust.
How tall is that?
That one's about 8 feet, if memory serves me. It should be a 20-inch diameter, tapered to 40-inch by 8 feet, right?
Yeah,
Give or take.
like that, yeah.
So, that's our general replacement size on a 1 micron bag, what's necessary for a 1200 CFM system. So, just for, for scale, that's, how undersized the OEM bags typically are, so. And if you were to step it back to a 12 ounce or 10 ounce, because it breathes more because you're not filtering as fine, we wouldn't need to go as big. But for a 1 micron level, that's the size bag you actually need.
All right, so back to that drum top again. This right here is, kind of the stock unit. You see that pillowcase bag hanging off the side. You can go to the next one, Caleb. And then this is what we'll do. We'll make an oversized bag that kind of sits next to it. Looks like another tub next to it. Actually, that one's bigger than the drum, but that really lets it breathe. And a lot of these, you'll get a half horse and a 3/4 horse, and a lot of the time you'll see the bag will be the same size. Well, you stepped up,
Yeah.
a 1/4 horsepower and power, so you're not, you need more surface area, or you're really not going to see that extra suction efficiently.
But it just shows you the scale of what the OEM was willing to put on there versus when you do the math, what actually has to go on there for a proper filter, so.
Why do the OEMs not put them?
Because they're
Cost
typically
different.
made in overseas, and it's cheaper to just have a one-size-fit-all option on any system. Then take the time for, your Delta, your Jet, your Kufo, they don't want to, everyone's shop size is different. They don't want to go through and, make a separate bag for everybody, which is good for us because we take the time to do that, so. But we're just all about getting a proper filter for any system that you may have bought, so.
How long do these bags last?
We've had them last over 20 years. I mean, the typical, customer of ours probably replaces every 5 to 10 years, give or take.
Yeah, smaller shops, depending very much on how much you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's subjective. If you're
Yeah.
working 8 hours a day plus, you're going to replace more. If you're sanding constantly, if you got a unit like that on a wide belt sander, you might get 2 years out of the bag.
Yeah, 2 years minimal, but we've had them, I've been going to the show since 96 out in IWF, and I bought a bag in 96, still use it.
Yeah.
So, they last, so.
How do you clean it?
Well, with ours, it's actually a scrim-supported felt, and you can take it, turn it inside out, hit it with a high-pressure, garden hose, or let it air dry. As long as you don't take any bleach or high heat to it, you can do that. We always recommend about once a year, give or take, on your usage.
Yeah.
Typically, with that singed surface, what we recommend is walk by, whap it with a stick, clean it out. Occasionally, if you got like a festal or a shop vac and you want to, go ham on it, you can. But yeah, it's that singed treatment really helps keep the dust from working its way through the fibers. And while it's still connected to the machine, if you see a spot where it looks like it's staining the bag, you can even take some compressed air from the outside and just blow it back in. But one of the big things is promoting a good dust cake. So on any new bag, you don't want to just turn it on, hit it with the Y belt, as fine as you can do. You want to start with anything other than sanding dust. Build up a nice layer, then hit it. The dust cake itself actually helps with the filtration and keeps it from plugging up. So, and also being properly sized. If it's undersized, it doesn't stand a chance. You plug it up, rinse and repeat. But with a proper sized dust bag, it kind of just cleans itself every time you turn it off.
What would you recommend for the break-in usage?
Just again, normally just season it. Just anything other than sanding dust first on any bag. Just anything where you've worked for a little bit, you get a nice dust cake on there, then hit it with the sanding dust, you'll be fine. So.
All right.
Put it on inside out, turn it on.
Do it outside.
Yeah, outside.
Yeah.
I always say take it to a local laundromat, they love it.
Yeah. We used to tell people that, and then we got a call back from a customer, and he said, the guy told me he's gonna sue me for bringing my bags in here, so.
Well, we didn't think you'd actually do it.
Yeah, we stopped.
So don't do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, back to comparison, this is the small single stage, and Caleb, you can jump up and that's another example. If you can go straight and tall, that's always the most effective way, but not
Cost
everybody's
effective.
got room,
Yeah.
Go to the next one. Nope, there's a, yeah. that's
Like almost like the wall mount unit behind you guys there.
Right there.
Similar thing, but on the floor, so same thing. Where it's just whatever that looks like, a quarter horse, half horse. It's just, whatever the CFM is, pick the fabric that fits your needs, size it appropriately, and to fit in space you got available, so. That guy had a tall ceiling, so it's always cheaper to not make us do a taper or do fancy stuff. So if you got the ceiling height, like on that 4-bag system's probably, 7,500 CFM, give or take.
Yeah.
So those bags probably had 96-inch bags, from the OEM if you're lucky. So we just doubled that. That's got to be at least 14-foot bags on there. So, but the night and day difference on the amount of suction you'll get with a proper set, especially on a bigger system like that. So if anyone's got a bigger unit, that's where really stepping up the bags helps you, because, you're actually going to get a ton more, suction out of it.
There's a taper on one of the small ones. So, we had the taper before that was really tall. That's kind of a taper showing in a
Smaller
more
setting.
restricted area.
Yeah. So similar shop, size like this, you just put it in the corner, you can still make it work, you just don't want it rubbing against the wall or hitting the ceiling. You want a couple inches of clearance, so that way, one, it's gonna wear a hole, and two, you lose that surface area if it's touching.
Does that have a hanger?
Yeah, that's got 4 hanging loops at the top on there, and he just made a crossbar. A lot of people, hang it right from the ceiling if you still want to make it portable, like on the roll-around units. People take a piece of conduit, and normally the systems like that have the rod that go up the side and over. Take a piece of conduit, bend it around the new bag. Well, it's what we take to the trade show to support our bag, and still makes it roll around. It's a little bit, more, going on there, but you can make it work, and like that's more like a 20 to 40 by like 5 foot. Fits in most 8-foot ceiling shops, and we have a target number we're trying to get to. If you're slightly short than that, it's still going to be way better than what you had. But, we start at ideal and then work our way down to fit the space you guys actually have available. Just another version of a taper,
Lower ceilings.
Yeah, lower ceiling, and that guy made his where it's portable. But yeah, and we can do the 4 loops at the top, we can do one in the center. We can do a rod pocket up the side if you want, everything is custom. So if you can dream it up, you want it on your bag, we can put a window on there, belt loops, bungee cords, you name it. Logo, we can silk screen on there. It's not called, it's like a thermal transfer.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we actually do a lot of the OEM bags for some of the better systems out there. So yeah, we can pretty much do it. For like the bottom bags, we do the belt loops, or we can do bungee cord, to hold it in place. Drawstrings, cinch belts, you name it, we can do it.
That's one of my biggest complaints on mine, is getting that bag off with the metal band.
Oh, yeah.
Get it back on.
Yeah, a lot of times people want us to just do a hem, and we put slits in the hem, so you put the clamp in the hem.
Yeah.
So that way it kind of makes it like a hula hoop for the backside. And then, yeah, like I said, we had people like bungee cords, some like, drawstrings to cinch it tight, then clamp under it.
You could do the collection bag as
Yeah.
well as the filtering bag.
Yeah, we do the bottom bags, not a problem at all. Now this is where it gets exciting. So, that's something we call a sister bag. So this guy had a 5 horsepower Grizzly, I believe it was, maybe 7.5
5
horse.
horsepower Grizzly.
And he only had about 6 feet of height on 2 barrels, and the math was nowhere near a proper sized dust bag. And he's like, well, it's by the garage, I got a door in the way, what can we do? So we connected the two together to help equalize the pressure, went over his door and went down, and works like a dream. He has since cut the bottom of that bag off. That actually had a zipper in it for him to be able to dump any dust that works its way over there. But he's cut that off and put that over a drum since there, and he's got more suction out of that machine, and works like a dream, but
Yeah.
just kind of shows our capability where, you give us an environment, what you're doing, what you're looking for, we can come up with a solution to make your system work better.
Yeah, that was a dedicated unit on a wide belt sander, and he was running it all day. So I think he, about every 2 years, replaces that setup.
Yeah.
But all day running on the wide belt.
But he said once a day, the bags would explode off the ones,
Yeah.
the OEM bags, so, yeah, that was the worst case scenario where he's just sanding all day on way undersized bags. It didn't stand a chance.
All right, there's, again, that cartridge unit, and we do get calls sometimes of people having issues with the cartridge units, and this is what we do for them.
Yeah, so we do a lot of cartridge to bag conversions. So, there's a world where cartridges, are the right answer, and then there's others where if you're doing like ultra sanding, yeah, where same thing, where like this unit had a cartridge on there, we were able to swap that out to a bag. The size difference will be noticeable because the whole idea with the cartridge is just like what we do is you're getting square feet to get more, surface area. Problem with the cartridge is it's in such a tight space, the can velocity is a lot faster. Dust gets stuck in there, doesn't come out. So if you're doing ultra fine dust, or if you don't have a cyclone and you're doing chips, that'll bridge on the pleats. So just in certain applications, it doesn't make sense to go with a cartridge, and we do a lot of conversions. And cool thing about woodworkers is like projects. So a lot of them turn into a project where they'll make their own plenum and then hook the, design the bags around a project. And so, like this guy, same principle, instead of a big bag hanging down, he made a plenum box, and then we did some baghouse style snap bands to pop into it, and then just made a dust shelf at the bottom, and picked up same amount of square feet in that same small space, and the bags just work better than the cartridge did for them. And I think we just got a couple different variations where customers did their own projects, and this was same thing, big grizzly, that had a cartridge hanging down off the side, and just built two plenum box at the top, plenum on the bottom, just turned into a dust drawer. So, but just really improved that system for what he was doing. And then we get crazy again, so similar, had a cartridge on the side, but didn't want to do a plenum box, and he has a big horsepower motor on there, so big taper bag, went over there to another drum, and a lot of times on something like that, we'll put a zipper in the bypass, so if any dust gets stuck up there, you can at least get a ladder and empty it out. But just another example of he sent us a drawing, sent us a picture, here's my space available, we knew the square feet we needed to get to, and so we came up with, and I don't think that guy's even bought a replacement. He's been using that one for about 10-15 years. So similar, so we have kind of a basic, if you want to turn your or your cyclone into a bag system instead of a cartridge, like that's a clear view, and then I don't even know what filter, some sort of aftermarket filter, and similar thing, just kind of built a plenum box. And we have snap bands, all different sizes from 3-inch all the way up to 12-inch or even 16-inch. So instead of a bunch of little bags, you want to do 10-inch, but utilize the same pop-in design like a bag house. We can run the numbers and figure out you need 15 at 5 by 6 feet, or 8 at 8 by 6 feet, or whatever the math is, and we can make it work. You just got to make sure you either laser cut the hole or get a hole saw so it's pretty accurate, and we can make it work.
And back to the bag house filter, again, the larger units, they've got a bunch of little filters, usually 6 by 10 is a very common size inside of them, and they collect from the outside versus the inside. Then they have cleaning systems, so it's a whole different animal.
Much larger. Much larger system, and usually people, you start with the shop vac, get the drum top, get the roll around unit, get the internal bag house. Ideally by the time you're done, you got so much cool toys, generating dust, you need a bag house. So.
Since you guys are the filtering experts, is there an issue with epoxy dust? Because some of these woodworkers think that epoxy is wood, and they build a lot of stuff with epoxy.
Yeah, so epoxy, we would probably run either a hydroleophobic treatment on the same cinch fabric where you dump water on it, it beads right off, or step it up to an actual Teflon membrane. Just ultra slick. Instead of trying to promote a dust cake, you're actually, it's designed to shed any type of dust cake, and it's actually a sub 1 micron rated filter. Problem is, it doesn't breathe very well. So if you thought that first bag on the system was big, wait till you see what we'd have to do with a membrane. So that's kind of, last resort. But for sticky dust, epoxy, anything that's, troublesome, that's what we'd probably recommend.
By and large, it's mostly going to be sawdust with an occasional sanding of a
Yeah.
board or a chessboard or whatever.
Yeah, so that would be just probably the HO treated stuff, because that helps with anything like that, just helps keep it from sticking.
So that's okay, just an occasional.
Oh, yeah, but if that's all you do all day, every day, you want that membrane.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Got a guy before.
Everyone's staring. So this is just an example of different type of baghouse bags, from shaker system with the A hanger to the ground wire bag. So same anti-stat properties, airman, high temp, not really, unless you guys got a dryer or something that you're doing. But so that's just an assortment of baghouse filters. Same thing. Those are your typical top load, snap band that hang down, dust collection feet. But again, just turned it into a project, and just, I don't know if a buddy gave him the motor or something, and just, hey, I can build something, and pretty neat. But that's where us being custom is. It doesn't have to be an off-the-shelf anything. All we care about is, what do you got, what do you want to do, what's your space, and we can design you a filter. That's an outdoor system, so same thing, where that guy's just blowing outside, must have gotten in trouble by the EPA. And needed to put a bag on there, so something like that. We wouldn't use our felt because it's not really meant to get wet. So we have a material called a 322 polyester, high CFM, not ultra fine, but you can see it still has kind of a roof on there, so it sheds water, but it's not meant to get soaked. But it's what we'll use for any outdoor dust collection applications. It's our go-to material, because it'll collect the obvious stuff, but the ultra fines kind of just disperse, and they generally only get in trouble from the neighbors for sending chunks and whatnot,
Covering
pellets.
cars.
Yeah, covering cars in the parking lot. So
It's not the HOA.
yeah. Oh yeah, it always, yeah. So, and that's about the extreme of what we do. So this guy actually had a bag house on the side of his building. It was a paper mill, and they run 24/7, couldn't shut down. So they actually had to do maintenance on the bag house. So they removed the bag house. That's, I believe, 60-inch diameter, and then 50 feet tall. And then we actually did an L to do another 50 feet, set it on the ground so they can run their, 1,000 bag house without, do what they needed to, run that for just, what, 2-3 days?
Yeah.
And then plug it back in. But, the sewers hated it, but we are able to sew some pretty big stuff. So that one's just always fun to show people, because, even just doing the L, the math on trying to do the bend in the fabric at a 60-inch diameter is pretty cool. And, worked like a dream for them. And then, put the bag house back in, throw it out. Wish more people would do that.
Couple every week.
So, a couple a week. So, and then, we do the bottom bags, so clear plastic bags. We stock 2 sizes of 21 by 50 for all your Delta Jet, Kufo, small roll around units. The 24.5 by 72s for like your Dust Techs, Grizzlies. A lot of them have like 60-inch bags, but you just roll it over or trim it down. But we stock those right in Wesley Chapel. So,
What do one of those small plastic bags, the smallest one?
what are we charging for those these days? $106 for a case of 50?
Yeah, 106 for a case of 50.
And they're 6 mil poly bags, tear them off a roll, 50 per case.
Drive up and pick them up from us, you save on the UPS
Yeah,
freight, because they're heavy.
sad thing about that, especially our customers out west, they'll pay $106 for a case of bags and $86 to UPS to ship it there because it's 50 pounds.
And that's for 50 of them?
Yeah, for 50 of them. And we do have like 5 packs.
Group buy.
There you go.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, we do have, like 5 packs, and on our website, we actually have an online store. We have some stock size bags on there. I always recommend still calling us to properly, size what you need. But if, say, you need a 20 by 60 because your bag ripped a hole in it, you need it quick, you could pick it up right from our website, or, buy the poly bag straight from the site, figure out what the freight will cost you, right there without having to make a call. And we do sell them in 5 packs as well on the site, I believe.
Yeah.
But and then we do the do those. We do the cotton duck bottom bags, which is the next picture. So if you don't like the plastic, we can do it's an Army duffel bag type material, real heavy.
Doesn't breathe.
Doesn't breathe at all though. You want all that top, the top filter to do all your breathing for you. Bottom bag does the collecting. Benefit is, as it's filling up, you're not relying on it to be a breather, and you don't lose suction as the bottom bag starts filling up. And like that jet from the first picture, the top and bottom bag were the same. Even new, it was barely able to handle the CFM. As soon as you start actually throwing dust at it, you're really cutting it down. And that bag itself will outlive the machine for the most part. You can drag it all around, dump it. Same thing, we do the belt loops, we do the hem, we can do, some people have sew magnets, and, you name it, we've done it. Some of the systems have grommets, like I think Coral has a system where it actually hangs on the post with grommets for you to clamp it on there. But yeah, that's if, most people like the plastic, but if you don't and you want something, that's generally if you're not dumping all the time, go ahead and get something like that, because it'll, outlive, and you don't have to worry about the plastic deteriorating on you from the UV or anything like that. So.
Cartridges, we do a lot of cartridges too. Again, we don't see as many on the woodworking side, unless it's certain units that are like that Penn State I showed you earlier with the long skinny one. Do more of those. The ones that sit on top, we don't always have the sizes to match. A lot of those come from overseas, so the cap sizes are a little odd. But we do a lot of those in other industries, but just want to kind of show them here.
And if you do have to run a cartridge on, say like a roll around, just one up, one down collector, that's expensive, but your best bet's to get the membrane. A lot of them will sell you like on a sub 1 micron, it'll say like a Teflon membrane or something like that, and you want wide, deep pleats. Don't let the, max square feet, sell you, because then they'll put the pleats, a fraction inch apart, and you're getting a lot of surface area. But the dust is, the thickness of the dust just plugs it right up. So you're kind of looking for, somewhere in the middle. You don't want barely any pleats, but a lot of them just use that as a sales pitch where it's, 300 square feet instead of 200, but if the pleats are too close, you're not really benefiting at all. So.
So what's the price point for the filter bag for like a jet roll around?
Yeah, well, it depends on,
a dust on.
Yeah, so like the complexity, if we're doing straight versus a taper, like a straight bag, call it 20 by 8 feet, it's probably 60, say 60, 70, 80 bucks. If we taper it out, it'll probably be closer to like 140 bucks, just because instead of doing, one seam in a circle, we got to do a bottom inlet, an arc, the body, sew it all together, so there's just a lot more complexity. So it kind of depends on
cartridges. You're looking at replacement costs on a cartridge probably over 300 easy.
Yeah,
and that's why we do a lot of those conversions on those
cyclones. Those are real expensive cartridges.
You clean the cartridges.
Compressed air outside to in. That's the best way. The flappers will work. But you're always going to get stuff sticking. So I recommend. In the systems that most of these go in, the larger systems, they've got, again, like the bag house, they got constant cleaning. It happens every 60 to 90 seconds. It gets shot with a shot of compressed air that helps keep it clean.
Yeah. With these, if you let it go for too long and then you remember you got a cleaner on there, you're going to be at it for hours.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we have customers that will forget to turn their cleaning systems on, like big systems. Put a new set in, load them up, have to buy a new set. So
yeah, because
we don't
just plug them right up. Yeah, those are our favorite.
Yeah.
But, and then we do sell accessories too. So the clamps, cinch belts, like black foam gasket to put around the rim so you can clamp on a nice piece of foam to get a good seal. Pretty much any accessory, or like we said, anything you can think of you want on your dust bag, we can add in there. So we have leak detection powder. That's generally more for baghouse applications where you're seeing dust come out your exhaust, but you can't get in there. That's when you feed in the leak detection powder, then you can just turn it off, hit it with the UV light, see where the leak's coming from. So if you are concerned about a leak and you can't tell where it is, you can buy 5 pounds of it, put it in, hit it, then at least you'll know where your system's leaking, because it could be coming from a well, it could be coming from anywhere on there, but it'll at least show you.
Yeah.
And then we do actually have like pre-coat for small woodworking applications, generally overkill, but it is like a diatomaceous earth where you can buy a new filter, go to your first port, just slowly feed that in. It'll pre-coat the bag, then you don't have to worry about seasoning it with your wood. You could hit it right with the sanding dust if you wanted to. So, but that's all stuff we sell as accessories for dust bags, but
That's pretty much it.
yes, I think that's it.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, we're happy to.
You have business cards with you?
We sure do, and I got
Yeah,
enough
brochures.
folders for everyone. It's got a sample of the material, a coupon for 10%, and pretty much it's Dust Collection 101, which is kind of what we just went over, but a lot more in depth and boring, and we weren't gonna, but if you want to sit there and read it, so we got folders, and
What's the lead time?
we typically run about 3-4 weeks. I'm sorry, sir? Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you design the system too, or just?
No, we can help just with experience, but yeah, we design the filter for any system you might have. So, that's all we do, but we do have a lot of knowledge, and, if you have a question about running ductwork or something, a lot of my guys, have seen it and, know the basics, or we can put you in touch with, someone we work with that could definitely help you out.
But you're not selling the motors and...
No, we don't do the motors, anything like that, but, we can tend to point you in the right direction. So if you got a question, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we can, if we can't help you directly, we tend to know someone who can. So, but yeah, we run about 3-4 weeks because we do make everything custom. So from design to it goes into production, goes through QC, gets out the door to you, and if, say, you had a fire or your system's down, we do offer rush service, and depending on where we're at in production, we can turn it around in a day or two or under a week if need be.
You
But
welcome customers to come up and...
oh yeah, if you want to come by and see us, you're more than welcome. Yeah, Jeff came by, or always comes by to pick up his orders. You're always welcome, and give you a tour of the building, and you're always welcome. Just give us a heads up first. We're generally there from about 6:30 to 5 any day of the week, but just you decide you want to swing on by, just reach out, and we'll make sure someone's there for you.
Bring pizza and beer.
Bring pizza and beer.
Yeah, that's
What I've
good.
learned about them, it's custom to your needs, and they've got a ton of experience in just doing filtration. So pretty confident that you get more out of your dust collection.
Oh yeah. No, like that was probably been 15 years ago, but like Wood Magazine did a Pepsi challenge with our filters versus the OEM bags versus what somebody else was selling as an optimized bag, and we wiped the floor with them. But it's honestly not that hard. It's literally just taking CFM, pick a fabric, do the math, design the filter. It's just all the OEMs, a 24 by 36 inch bag fits everyone's ceiling, so that's what they go with. So they make it easy for us, and we've been doing it for a long time, and there's not one application I can generally think of that we weren't able to make something better for. So
Any other questions?
How much, so I've got a one-up, one-down.
Sure.
From the Bowers systems. And the cyclone, the pre-cyclone tends to pick up everything.
Sure.
So I've run it for like maybe 2 months now, and I've got very little in the one-up, one-down. Could that just be like 2 bags, 2 air breather bags?
yeah, if you're not seeing much dust go in there, then you can split the instead of doing the big tall top bag, just if you're still looking for like 1 micron filtration, just do a top bag and then a bottom bag out of it. And if you're not filling it up, there's no reason to oversize the top bag, but still getting the better fabric on both, and maybe going a foot or 2 taller on the top. I mean, depends on what the math is. So.
Right.
But definitely something like that, where if you're not seeing any dust because you're barely sanding and your separator's taking out the chunks, you don't need to go as hardcore with the big top bag. You could do.
Yeah, I've definitely overbuilt for what I needed.
There you go.
That's good. That's
But
good.
still having
That's
the
what we like
right,
to do, too.
the right air to cloth off between those 2 bags is still critical to make the suction, work
right,
for the
right.
cyclone. Yep.
If you want to know the real story, Jeff just decided to join us.
Hey.
We already knew this, but we didn't need to show up early for this, right?
I called them up. I had a 4-bag dust collector. When you turned it on and when the bags expanded, you could just see the dust just pop out of them. So, they were 5 micron or maybe...
Probably 30 micron, yeah.
So I called them up, told them what I had, and got their suggestions on, wanted to go with the cloth bags up top and the plastic bags on bottom. Told me what to use, and I've been using them for 5 years.
At least, yeah.
20.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bags, the
Yep.
first box of the plastic bags I bought in 20.
Mhm.
So I've been using them for 6 years.
You can't use a pillowcase?
Sleeping bag?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you so much.
No, anyone. Thanks for having us, guys. We have tons of
Thanks for watching the Brandon Woodworkers Club. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great content. Click next for another woodworking project.